Hello there. My name is Mark Smith. Hello there. My name is Mark Smith Jr. And today we're going to talk about a little student organization called NSBE. The National Society of Black Engineers, or NSBE, is a non-profit organization that helps support black STEM majors in a variety of fields, but primarily professional development and overall just like career networking. Like it's a place where like you build a strong sense of community, and they've done just that. A lot of that has been done through their social media. Their social media is amazing. It's all unified, has one voice, one vision, and that makes sense, right? It's a big organization. Even though it's a nonprofit, it's a massive organization that can dedicate a lot of time and resources into their social media account. However, the NSBE chapters tells a way different story. You see, the chapters are ran by college students, right? There is no like design team. There is no like funding or like budget for them. There's no guarantee that they'll have like design expertise. It's just tired and depressed college students. So how do we even have any sort of unity? Well, the answer is you don't. And in Akron's case, it's really tough because Akron went from being one of the bigger in-person NSBE chapters to being one of the smallest in-person NSBE chapters. And in that shrinkage, they went from a few people on the social media team to one depressed college student on the social media team. And that's tough, right? Because you're still a college student that has to do stuff, but you also are trying to like grow NSBE, and you just don't have the time or resources. So what do we do, right? How do we take a small team and still optimize a system or a plan to make them as effective as possible while not drowning them in more things to do that they don't care about because they'll volunteer? And that's where I come in. Here is how to give NSBE a new voice. In other words, here's my strategic marketing final. I don't know if it'll work because we're not going to do it, but we're going to assume it works. So the one goal I have for this new plan is to give NSBE a new voice while also keeping it extremely simple. Again, this is ran by a depressed, tired college student. They might not have any media literacy background. They might not know how to run social media. They might have no design skills at all. So in this plan, we have to make it as simple as possible. That way, in the future, anybody can do it. And if it doesn't work, you scrap it. Before we can get on to like making this plan, we have to first look at the past. Why? Because the past informs the future, or something like that. So the NSBE social media accounts. Why did the lights go off? Oh, I don't like that. That's spooky. Hold on. Anyway, before we can plan for the future, we have to look to the past. And I say look to the past because NSBE has 3 social media accounts. Let me rephrase that. NSBE has 1 social media account with 2 of them being dead, like gone dead, like they're not coming back, like 10 feet deep in the ground dead. And I have no plans of resuscitating them, but I do have plans to study their corpses because they're looking at how they died, we can then inform how we should live. You know, things of that nature. So when looking at these dead social media accounts, we're going to look at 5 things, right? We're going to look at the followers. We're going to look at the voice, like the overall like voice and tone of the social media account. We're going to look at the goals of that social media account. Like what was the goal? What was the intention when making it? We're going to look at the bio. So how like to describe itself, because again, different platforms need you to describe yourself different ways, especially when you're trying to convey different messages. And lastly, but definitely not least, what they post on each platform, and is there any consistency, right? Now, going forward, like I said, I have no plan, and I do mean no plan to revive any of these dead corpses. The only living one is Instagram, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the one we'll be using. But it's still helpful to look. So with that being said, let's look at the numbers, shall we? The first account on the surgeon's table is Instagram. It's the only one with a living pulse, so we're gonna start there. Has 1,030 followers with the current goal of connecting with current students, members, and alumni. The current posting style is a grab bag. Okay, they have some organizational news, some member highlights, some professional development opportunities, like social networking events, things of that nature. So that's kind of all over the place, which is good. That's something that we want to see. The current voice is business on the more personal side, but like distant. Like it's weird. It gives the vibe of like an older woman in a business suit trying to relate to you. Like it's that kind of vibe. It's functional, but kind of not inviting, if that makes sense. The current bio is all majors welcome, meetings bi-weekly on Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., professional development and networking opportunities. So overall, not bad. Let's get this half-conscious body out the way. And let's put a dead one on it. I'm not saying X, that's stupid. Twitter had 190 followers. The goal is the same, thank goodness, of connecting with current students, members, and alumni. The past posting style was similar, again, organizational news, member highlights, professional development, kind of everything. The past voice, how was a weird mix. It was business, similar to Instagram, but it's way more personable and energetic, way more youthful, if that makes sense. The bio was the official Twitter of the University of Akron NSBE chapter, the mother region, Region 4. Oh, goodness gracious. Work hard in silence. Let your noise be your success. I'm not even going to comment on that. Okay, next is body. Facebook. Facebook has 42 followers. The goal, again, was the same of connecting with current students, members, and alumni. The posting style was just organizational news. They had no variety. It was just news, and that is all. The voice, however, was really good. It was energetic and young, which is something we should take away from. That's something the other two accounts didn't do, and we will definitely be snatching the voice from this dead body. The bio was a student-governed organization whose goal is to increase the number of culturally responsible engineers and other STEM majors who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. I'm a bit long, but it gets the message across. When looking at these three bodies, there are some things that there's unity in. For example, the goals are all the same of connecting with current students, members, and alumni. For Instagram and Twitter, there was the unity in the content style, how what they were posting and how often they were posting it. So that's good. Facebook had an amazing voice that I would definitely love to implement to this new plan. But other than that, man, there was no cohesion. Everything was all over the place. So that's something we need to rein in tight. But to do that, we first have to look at our target audience. And to do that, we have to get into what some people might consider boring. I know I do. The audience analytics. Okay, so full disclosure, a lot of this might be boring to some of you. That's okay. If it's boring, then stick around for my super brief and quote-unquote fun version of it. If not, you can read the document itself or the actual paper that I wrote. Yeah, let's just speed run this. Okay, so the first thing we have to do in this audience analysis is we have to analyze the different NSBE chapters' Instagram sizes. Remember, size does not matter, especially when it comes to social media sizes. There are many ways to inflate numbers, but regardless of all that, it's still a pretty decent way to measure how we can move forward going through it. And I have the numbers right here. The numbers are as follows. We have the University of Akron NSBE chapter sitting at 1,030 followers. We have the Ohio State University chapter sitting at 929 followers. We have the Mississippi State NSBE chapter sitting at 799 followers. We have University of Washington NSBE chapter sitting at 938 followers. We have San Diego State sitting at 970. We have Duke sitting at 842. And we have Northwestern University sitting at a solid 925. Now, all of those numbers were taken as of October 12th. They could have changed by now. They could be bigger. They could be smaller. But those are the numbers I have in this paper. Now, Akron having the biggest follower size is cool. And I definitely did not expect that. But again, size doesn't matter. It's how you use it, especially on social media. The University of Akron NSBE chapter is already in kind of a rebrand. They're trying to push heavily on social media, and in this, they're trying to hit a wide range of lifestyle. So we have to kind of narrow that down. While it's cool to try to get everybody, when making a plan, we have to narrow that down and drill it down so we can be as tight and efficient with our posting as possible. Again, we're trying to make this efficient, because it's one person, that poor, one depressed college student. We want them to still, be able to go to sleep at night. So we need to harken down on Gen Z, specifically the old ones. The college ones. I'm 22. I'm not old. I don't know why I said that. This plan is primarily going to target 19 to 25-year-old students who are looking to be active with the university, or 19 to 25-year-old students who are looking to be active with a community. So the first thing I found, is Generation Z primarily inhabits two social media platforms, and that is Instagram and YouTube. That is awesome for us because we're only using Instagram. So dope. And then when asked what people in Gen Z did on their social media platforms, top 5 categories were just video. It was just video. The only exception to that was DMs. So people are truly only using video social media platforms to watch memes or to talk about memes with their friends. And we need to capitalize off of that. How we're going to do that quite yet, I don't know. Oftentimes, the most effective videos are under 90 seconds. It's cool because it means it prioritizes, people are prioritizing quick video. The prioritizing quick, engaging videos, but it's also bad because if you have to cram a lot of content into 90 seconds, that's tough. That requires a lot of like effort and like work and like creative working around to take a lot of information and then cram it into a 90-second video. And that might be a little bit too much for one designer to do. Depending on the skills of that person, that might be difficult. So what I think for now, we will cross that bridge when we get there. This one was interesting because it kind of proved my like earlier point of how like inflated follower numbers can get. But when asked which of these things have you done on social media in the past 4 weeks, the top responses consist of people following others and communicating with others, with passive users being near the bottom of the results. That's kind of troubling, right? Because if everyone is just following and watching your content, that heavily deflates the engagement numbers, right? It's like if you're posting something, but you have 1,000 followers, but only 2 people like it, it doesn't mean that 2 people saw it. It just means that 2 people went out of their way to like it, which means if you're analyzing it off of just purely who's liking it or who's commenting, you think your engagement is trash. I want to focus more on how this refined social media campaign can impact people to not interact with the social media account as much, but more so interact in the actual live events that people go to and they meet each other. Like, that's the bread and butter. This is just kind of like the sale. I think that was fast. I don't know how fast that really was. We want to see. But now we have more analysis coming up. Analysis part 2. In filming this, I realized there's no such thing as a quick analysis. But, we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trucking. So, SWOT. What is it? It stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. It's basically just a way to, analyze like what a company has to offer, what it can do, what it can't do, who's going after, things in that nature. Let's get into it. All right, so NSBE strengths, right? They have 3 big strengths. The first one is the follower count. Again, it doesn't mean everything, but it is good to have a base of alumni and like overall community that know, hey, NSBE is a thing that exists at the University of Akron. That's good. So that's a good start. The second strength they have is that they are posting consistently. The current NSBE account is doing an amazing job of consistently posting. I consistently get their posts for like study tables, for events that they're doing. That is awesome. They need to keep that up. Again, another strength that not a lot of chapters have. But the third strength that I think is the strongest strength, that's a phrase. Anyway, the best strength is definitely their personalities. The board members of this NSBE chapter have such unique, we'll go with that, such unique personalities. And I feel like they could really hammer those in more on their social media. Especially because, as we know, people like to do things that they see people they like doing. So, I think in this new plan, we need to even strengthen that even more. Because right now, the board members don't make really any appearance on the NSBE Instagram account. They do sometimes for like in photos they do, but in terms of actual content, reaching out to the audience, they don't do that. I think that's a strength that they need to play to, make the personalities more of a thing. Again, not a lot of NSBE chapters have such strong personalities that they can put in front of a camera. I think that's one of the strengths that they have, but not utilizing correctly. So it's in a weird paradoxical state. It's the best strength that they haven't realized yet, if that makes sense. With that being said, let's go to the weaknesses. The biggest weakness is the voice and brand identity. I can't hate on the brand identity too much. Again, this is a volunteer doing this job. Now it is a volunteer. In the future, it will most likely be a volunteer. The current one has some design experience. The next one might not. The previous one might not have. I cannot judge. I'm a designer, but I don't feel right judging someone's work is voluntary. They're not getting paid for this. They're doing what they can. So going forward, we need to find a way to make the voice feel more youthful and energetic, while also making the actual designs be more Akron based, if that makes sense. The weakness with the design isn't the design itself, it's its association to Akron. A lot of other universities do this really well, where the NSBE chapter mimic a lot of the same colors and design styles as the university. They still put their spin on it, but it's still closely linked. So if you saw it, then you go, oh, I don't even have to see, I already know that's NSBE, based off the design, I can go, that's Ohio State's NSBE. That's Western Reserve. They're not a college. Things like that go a very, very, very long way. And they can be as simple as just like adding the university colors or maybe using like a design motif here and there. That's a simple thing they can clear up. The second biggest weakness is, again, the voice. The voice is so distant and businesslike. We can fix that going forward. We can make it way more youthful, way more energetic, way more personable. We'll get into how to do that like later on in this video. But for now, just know the two biggest weaknesses are they have a very weak voice and their brand identity doesn't really tie closely to the university or relate to it in any way, shape, or form. So those are the two biggest weaknesses that this NSBE chapter have going forward. Now let's go into the opportunities. The NSBE Akron chapter has a massive opportunity to capitalize on being the place for Black STEM majors at the University of Akron. Physically, they can do that by being at campus events. They do go to bigger campus events, like they do football games and stuff, but they kind of negate the smaller ones, the more intimate ones that, again, could show off those personalities. They kind of negate those. They try to do some on their own, that they do their own events, but those turnouts are like, they vary from like a bunch to little. It depends. So we need to find a way to capitalize on those more small campus moments. Another big one digitally is, again, the personalities, man. The personalities could carry this NSBE chapter so hard. Again, a lot of what NSBE is community, and nothing builds a sense of community more than falling in love is weird. Getting to know the people who are actually like running the thing. That is such a missed opportunity that I feel like they can capitalize on. And an easy way to do it would be like facility tours. NSBE has a lot of things at their disposal. They have like facilities. They have like places you can like walk and stuff. They have a bunch of connections that they can like basically offer. They can sell. Not like with money, but like they can like pitch to people. Because a lot of people have no idea what NSBE does. They just know it's like, okay, it's just a Black STEM group. But NSBE has everything from like ideas, which is a cool lounge room that has like beanbags and stuff, and like a lot of them have their meetings there. That's a cool room they have. They have access to the rooms in the union. They have access to a bunch of things that I think a lot of college students are like, oh, that's cool. I can go study there at basically any time as long as I have swipe access. Dope. I might go to NSBE. Like, those are the things that you can have the board members actually, like, advertise. Have them, like, give tours. Have them give walkthroughs. Have them give history lessons if they want to. Just make the personality the forefront. And I feel like you can you can really grasp that opportunity. Again, not a lot of chapters have that. Capitalize off of it. If we capitalize off of that, I feel like we can go sky high. But the biggest elephant in the room, quite frankly, is the threats. What are the threats to this like whole NSBE plan, right? Say we do everything that we need to do. What is the threat that could just knock it all down? Quite frankly, and this is the scary part, it's other NSBE chapters, specifically other NSBE chapters at bigger schools, because that threat is so imminent simply because it's a bigger school. For example, a lot of people would be surprised if you told them that the University of Akron's NSBE chapter has more followers than the Ohio State University NSBE chapter. That sounds insane. A lot of that has to do with how the other bigger colleges are running their NSBE chapters. But if they switch it up, they can overshadow Akron just on pure name value, just pure the Ohio State University, a Michigan, I'm blanking, like a Duke. Like, these schools are just automatically bigger. They have more people to serve. They have more minorities, probably. I don't know. I'm not going to fact check that. But they probably have more minorities to serve in the communities. If they step up their game and we don't already have a stronghold in places that we can excel in, then their name power alone would just drown us out. So to maintain that lead, we kind of have to keep our foot on the gas, which is the plan. I should probably get to the plan at some point. We're going to get there soon. It's working hand in hand with the organization's current plan. The current organization's plan is simply just to grow the organization, to have like more lasting connection with the student body. This plan is basically just trying to find a voice for them to do so in a efficient and clean manner. A manner in which one person could run the account and be fine. That's the goal. That's the plan. Because of that, this plan has to be like realistic. Like, it can't just be whatever. Like, it has to be an actual plan. It has to be a plan that you can do by one person. That's the goal. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this as simple as possible so that even a tired college student at 3 a.m. running off of nothing but Cheez-Its could run the social media account. That's the plan. That's how simple this plan is going to be. I guess I should talk about the actual plan. Okay, so now at the point in the video, I tell you the actual plan, what we're going to be doing, and like the objective and stuff like that. So, let's kick off with the objectives. Objective 1, we have unify and maintain the voice and message of the NSBE Akron chapter's Instagram account. I mean, pretty straightforward. We just want to unify the voice and the tone to make it one message being said at one time by one voice. Everyone's on the same page, or the posts are on the same page. That way, there's no question by the audience. It's just straight to the point. All right, so how are we going to do this? What's the strategy, right? So the strategy is to unify the atmospheres of the accounts by changing just a few things. Well, the first is that the voice and the tone of every post has to be exactly the same, along with overhauling the design elements to be more in line with choices that are typically recognized by the university, like a little bit more blue and gold, maybe one or two of those like weird outlines that they do, that Akron does, like one of those, just a few of those. This way, like, Akron can be tied to NSBE through just visuals alone. Like, people don't have to make the guess of what NSBE chapter is this, or who do you like represent. They can just kind of look at it and suddenly know, oh, that looks like Akron colors. That must be Akron, right? So what are the tactics behind it? Like, how are we going to actually, like, what's the game plan, coach? Like how are we going to do it? Well, first you have to create a new social media voice and tone, and then we have to make this voice youthful and inviting while also being mature and professional. I know that may sound like contradictory, but think of it this way. If you read a line out loud, we're picturing a student engineer who is full of personality while also being a top candidate in whatever field they are. That is the kind of person we want people to envision when they think of NSBE and when they read those kind of captions. That's the voice we want. This voice needs to be consistent in everything that they do on social media. Everything that they do, it needs to be consistent. It needs to be, again, one unifying message. When it comes to the style, this means that while, yes, you can still have themed, they should probably gear a little bit towards the University of Akron. For example, Halloween. Maybe you don't use University of Akron colors for Halloween because it's Halloween, but maybe you use, like, the font, or maybe you use a design element. Maybe you use the outlines. Maybe you use, like, the dotted patterns they use. You use something to denote that, hey, yes, it's a STEAM, but it's still like Akron. It's still NSBE. The NSBE logo will always be there, but that's kind of a guarantee. We want more than just the NSBE logo, right? The second objective is to diversify the kind of content posted and increase the frequency of posting to a minimum of 3 times a week. Now, I know earlier I was like, hey, we're trying to make this light on poor, depressed college students. I promise we are. You just got to hear me out. I know 3 times a week sounds like a lot. Just hear me out, all right? So, when making this content, it has to be more engaging and it has to be interesting. And it has to make room for non-members even if they're not there. These new posts have to make it feel like, hey, even though I missed a meeting or two, I might have missed a month of the meeting, I still feel connected to the university and I know what's going on. That is the goal of these new posts. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, I have split up these 3 posts I'm talking about into 3 separate categories, okay? They are event posts, member posts, and general information posts. So, these are how they go. The event posts are basically what they post already. They're just like glorified notifications. Hey, study table is happening this week. Hey, this conference is coming up. Just the usual, right? Those are very basic. They don't need a lot of design put into them. They're just more of, again, a notification to the person so they can mark the calendar ahead of time like, hey, I want to do this. So that's the first post. Those are event posts, right? The member videos, I said post before, but these are videos. We're going to make them videos. I lied. The member videos are just fun videos that showcase the personalities of the board members. Now, these don't have to be highly edited. These can be as simple as taking a microphone to a study table and interviewing, I don't know, asking people what their favorite cheese it is. Like, this can be anything. As long as it shows off the personality of the board members. As long as it shows off the personality of NSBE, it is fine. It can be a tour of a facility. It can be just a simple walking around the union, showing people what the union has to offer. It can be anything, as long as personalities are on display. And it has to be fun. Not funny, fun. It has to look at people actually having fun. We don't want stilted, like, oh my goodness, How did I find you? The whole point, again, is to make people outside feel like they're still part of the community without being in the community, right? And last but not least, we just have like general information. These are things like, hey, like a holiday's coming up. Let's celebrate this holiday. Oh, hey, this important figure is doing a thing. Let's sign a line with them. Those are the kinds of posts that those would target. Again, not highly designed. Like, they can be, but they don't have to be. This is more of like a, hey, did you know? Those kinds of posts. Now, I broke them up this way, like I said, because they're easy to template. The current designer is using Canva. I think in the future, NSBE should use Canva. It's just simpler. There are templates that you can use, like just use for days. It is so much simpler to just use a service like Canva than it is to try to do it through like Illustrator or InDesign. So much easier, so much more streamlined. You can get graphics out fast, and it would really narrow down the work the designer has to do. Because now instead of actually designing 3 individual assets, you can have one template asset for notifications that you just reuse. So like the study table graphic can be the same study table graphic over and over again. And then for the general history stuff or the like holidays, you can use a basic Canva template and just reword it. Make sure the accurate design elements are on there and you're set to go. The only creative part, or the only one that revolves a little bit more effort, would be the videos. But that's good because that means we can hone all of our effort into those videos and make them as fun and highly engaging as possible. Now, I know that everyone's like, okay, but like you still have to make copy and all that stuff, and I understand that. Which is why we have a calendar, baby. We have a content calendar. It is linked in the paper. I might show screenshots of what it looks like here on the screen. It'll probably cover my face. I don't think I exist anymore. But this is what the content calendar will look like. It'll have the days written out and what to post on those days. It'll have the content, the topic, when time to post it. It will also have captions typed out. So, hey, designers just copy and paste these captions. Just copy and paste them into social media and you'll be set. It also has notes like, hey, on this photo, make sure you use a photo of, I don't know, use a photo from bingo night. Use a photo from the recent conference. Use a photo here. Hey, in this video, make sure you use non-copyrighted music. Make sure you use lo-fi music, like things like that. Now, this is on the board to keep it updated 2 weeks in advance. We want to keep these things updated in advance. So if anything goes wrong, we're still good to go. That would be a board issue, not like the designer's issue. Like the board should be the ones coming up with these captions as a group, and then the designer should be just the one to say, hit go, hit send, and we're off, right? So now that we have our objectives and our schedule, how are we going to make them work? How are we going to make sure they work? For that, we have evaluation. Welcome to your evaluations. Anyway, evaluations. Before the social media plan goes into place, there has to be like a detailed evaluation of the current content on the Instagram account. Like, is the content like high quality enough? Like, is the content they're posting now high quality enough? Does it bring attention to a certain amount of topic? What is the voice and tone of these like posts that they're making? How does the audience react to these posts? Once we get all of that down and we know what the answers to those questions are, then we can start implementing an actual plan for like what works, what functions. Okay, so when actually checking these, checks need to be done bi-weekly, and they need to be done by documenting a variety of aspects, like everything from the account engagement rate to seeing how many people attend in-person events before and after a notification. So, for example, okay, we posted study table 4 days in advance. How many people showed up? Okay, do that for like a month. Okay, change it to 3. How does that happen? 2. How does that happen? And you keep just changing until, okay, we figured out, hey, if we put it a week in advance, more people are likely to mark their calendars about it than if we do it 3 days. Things like that. Once you get in the rhythm of knowing those things, it's smooth sailing. Also, keep in mind, with all these changes going into place at one time, there's a high chance that older people who are used to the current communication style feel alienated. It is important that we listen to the feedback they give, because nothing's worse than abandoning one sinking ship for a ship that's not even done being built. There should also be a check done by the entire board at the end of the week. This is to determine if high-quality posts were made and if the new voice and tone are being used throughout all of the posts made that week. This way we can make sure that the posts are actually keeping the same voice. Again, it is important that the voice stays the same, the message stays the same. We can also check if the diversity of content is what we would like it to be. So, for example, we can say, hey, last week, maybe like something happened, we like mixed up the schedule. We posted 2 videos that week or 3 videos that week instead of the normal 1. Didn't do so well, maybe people forgot to show up to events. Hey, let's make sure we spread out the information. Make sure we spread out the content types. Make sure, hey, maybe we don't do 3 videos one week. Maybe we only do 1 video. Keep it 1 video, 1 graphic, and 1 historical post. Like, keep it varied. Keep a variety. At the end of the day, we want to keep that variety because variety is what brings people in, specifically new people. Not everyone likes the same thing. So keeping that variety is what we want to do, and that's what these weekly board checks are for. Making sure we keep the variety and keeping the tone of the post. And then by learning what kind of content works for different events, we can then I mean NSBE. Yeah. I say we. I mean NSBE. NSBE can then start targeting certain events with certain content types. Hey, when we post a reel about or a video, about the new conference, we see this boost in signups. But if we just do a normal post, we don't see that many. Okay, that's good to know. So now whenever there's a conference, make sure to make a reel about it. Maybe pair that up with a post in the same week. So not only do you have the post to kind of like get people just in their head when they scroll by, but you also have an entertaining reel that some solidifies it in their heads. Hey, for these events, turns out that the graphic posts work well. People aren't really responding to the words about them. Okay, so then post content about them. Hey, for this kind of event, people like interviews more. They found that those were more fun. Hey, okay, so make it a point to try to get an interview. Don't force it, but just keep it in the back of your mind, like, hey, this content works well here. Let's try to specialize these events for this kinds of content. Hopefully, everything I just said when combined will result in more people turning up to NSBE events because the voice is more unified, the brand is more unified, and the sense of community is tightened, and the sense of community is locked down. People feel like they're a part of a community, whether they're at the event or not. There are people who may just only see on social media but still feel like they're a part and then entitled and then feel like they should go. At the end of the day, as long as that sense of community is tightened, I think this plan has done its magic. Now, will it work? I don't know. I'm not going to implement it. I'm just making this cool, funny video presentation so that I can hopefully pass this class. I mean, you can try it, NSBE. I'm going to send you this. Well, I guess you'll see it. But, I mean, you can try this plan. The content strategy in the PDF or in the paper. So you can try it. Don't sue me if it goes wrong.